Hello everyone. In this lecture I am going to talk about biofuels. This is the part 2 of that topic. In the earlier part I have discussed why there is need of biofuels and how these are better than fossil fuels. Now in this part we will talk about the classification of biofuels and some of the examples of biofuels in detail. Biofuels are the fuels which are generated from the biomass or the organic material. That organic material can be used as such as a biofuel and can also be processed further for the formation of different products, and these products can also be used as biofuels. Thus, biofuels can be classified into two broad categories. First one are primary biofuels, in which organic material are used as such for the generation of energy, and secondary biofuels, in which organic material is processed firstly and then it is converted into biofuels. Now, primary biofuels. Primary biofuels are the fuels in which organic material or biomass is used as such without any processing, as such or in its natural form. As it is harvested, it is used for the generation of energy, and these are termed as primary biofuels. And there are various activities in which these biofuels are used as such, and these are cooking, heating, and also in the electricity production. Examples are wood chips, animal waste, crop residues, landfill gas. These all are the type of biofuels which are used in their natural form for the generation of energy. Now next are secondary biofuels. Secondary biofuels are the biofuels which have been generated from the organic material by processing or by using certain technologies, and those technologies convert the organic material into a form that is used as a biofuel for the generation of energy. There are several kinds of secondary biofuels which have been generated. Some have been generated in the solid form, like that of charcoal, which formed by strongly heating the animal or plant material. Liquid form, like bioethanol, which have been generated by the fermentation, biodiesel, which have been generated by transesterification and all that, and gaseous biofuels like biogas, synthesis gas, hydrogen. These all have been generated, and there are wide range of applications of secondary biofuels. These have been used in cooking, heating, in transport, and also these are used in various industrial processes where high temperature is required. Thus, secondary biofuels generated from the biomass by using certain technologies, and these biofuels are used for the generation of energy. हाँ बोलो. Now the categories of secondary biofuels. There are four main categories or generations of secondary biofuels, and these generations are according to the time at which these were introduced. Actually, with time, there was changes were carried out in the biomass as well as in the technologies which are used for the production of secondary biofuels, and accordingly, there were four generations of secondary biofuels have been till introduced, and these generations are differ in their biomass as well as in their technologies, but the biofuel that was derived by using these biomass and technologies were exactly similar. That is, these generations are not differing from each other in the structure of fuel that are generated in these generations. And there are mainly four categories, and these are first generation biofuels. First generation biofuels utilize edible biomass, and controversy was raised due to these biofuels due because it competes with global food needs. Second one are second generation biofuels. These biofuels utilize non-edible biomass but there are still some limitations related to the cost effectiveness involved in the scaling of the production to a commercial level. Third one are third generation biofuels. Third generation biofuels use microorganisms as feedstock. And fourth generation biofuels focuses on modifying the microorganisms genetically to minimize the carbon emissions on burning of these biofuels. These last two generation of biofuels are still in early development stages. First generation biofuels. These are also termed as conventional biofuels because these were the earliest biofuels which were generated, and these are formed from the edible crops, mainly the sugar crops like sugarcane, sugar beet, starch crops like wheat, vegetable fats like soybean oil, sunflower oil, palm oil, animal fats. These all are the raw materials or the biomass which are used for the generation of first generation biofuels. So we can also say that these biofuels are solely dependent upon food products. And for the formation of first generation biofuels, conventional techniques are used like transesterification for the production of biodiesel, fermentation for the production of bioethanol, and some of the common examples of first generation biofuels are biodiesel, bioalcohol, biogas, and these first generation biofuels can be used as such, as well as these are used after blending with conventional fossil fuels, because there are certain characteristics of these biofuels which provide advantage to the fossil fuels, like bioethanol can be blended with gasoline, and that bioethanol acts as anti-knocking agent. It raises the octane number of petrol, and thus it is used after blending with petrol. Now there are certain drawbacks associated with the first generation biofuels. First one is that these first generation biofuels are generated from food crops. So their competition takes place between the food and the fuel, and that also raises the food prices worldwide and also leads to hunger. When we talk about the crops which are mostly used for the first generation biofuels, these are corn, sugarcane and wheat. And when we grow corn, a very high requirement of pesticides and fertilizers are there, and which may lead to environmental pollution, and the production rate by using these crops is also very low, and it has and also the crops cannot be grown at all the regions. Crops are also seasonal, and so these are the drawbacks associated with the first generation biofuels, which leads to the generation of other biofuels like second generation, third generation and fourth generation, which we discuss. Now the second generation biofuels. Second generation biofuels are also termed as advanced biofuels, and these are produced from non-food crops and lignocellulosic wastes and woody crops, agricultural residues, etc. Besides that, novel starch, sugar and oil crops are also used like miscanthus, zetrofa and cassava. But there are certain disadvantages associated with these feedstocks like miscanthus. Miscanthus is a grass, and biodiesel cannot be produced by using miscanthus, and when we produce bioethanol, then extensive processing is required in this case, and also it took years for switch that grass to reach the harvest density. And when we talk about Jatropha, Jatropha is a seed crop. Biodiesel can be produced from it, but the drawback is that if no proper if it is not properly refined, it decreases the engine life. Now the approaches which are used or the technologies which are used for the generation of second generation biofuels are fermentation, enzymatic digestion, transesterification, etc. And besides that, certain newer technologies are also under development like thermal processes, pyrolysis, gasification, torrefaction, hydrothermal liquefaction, biochemical processes, etc. And certain food products when become no longer useful for the consumption, then these are also used for the generation of second generation biofuels. And the certain examples of second generation biofuels are bioalcohol, biodiesel, biogas, biohydrogen, etc. Third generation biofuels. Third generation biofuels are mainly manufactured from algae feedstock. That algae may be macroalgae, microalgae, blue-green algae, and aquatic plants like water hyacinth. Thus, these are the different biomass sources from which third generation biofuels are manufactured. And mainly out of these, microalgae are leading in the development of third generation biofuels. Actually, there are certain advantages are there in the microalgae which make them suitable candidates for the generation of biofuels. These have high carbon absorption ability, so they attain maximum or a very large amount of biomass. They have high lipid content which make them suitable candidates for the generation of biodiesel. They have simple growth requirement and they also require short time to grow. Thus, as I have already told, the high lipid content or the oil that is present in the microalgae that make them suitable for the formation of biodiesel, and its carbohydrate content can be easily fermented to form alcohol, and thereafter the leftover nitrogen and phosphorus, these can also be used as a source of fertilizer. So there are so many advantages of microalgae are there. And besides that, microalgae save much more arable or arable land and freshwater sources, or the land that is suitable for growing crops, that land can be saved by the growing microalgae. And large scale microalgae biofuel is not still achieved due to the immature production techniques and certain environment impacts. Thus, due to the poor technologies or less advanced technologies and certain environmental reasons, so much production of microalgae biofuel has not been achieved yet. Some microalgae that are used for the biofuel generation are Dunaliella, Chlorella, Botrytis. Macroalgae that are used are Sargassum, Gracilaria, and the examples of biofuels that have been generated are bioalcohol, biodiesel, etc. Now the fourth generation biofuels. These have been generated from the engineered energy crops. Crops have been purposely engineered. That means the desired characteristics have been included or have been incorporated into the crops, and these engineered crops are used for the generation of fourth generation biofuels. These characteristics are high storage, high carbon storage capacity. Due to high carbon storage capacity, they possesses high biomass, and so more energy can be yielded by the use of these crops. These crops act as efficient carbon capturing machine. They absorb more and more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and store that carbon in their tissues like leaves, branches and trunks. Or we can also say that these crops are carbon negative because these reduce the carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere and thus protect us from the harmful effects of carbon dioxide. And the other modifications that have been done in the crops are they are more prone to breakdown. Their cellulose can be easily broken down as compared to the earlier natural crops, and these can be grown on non-agricultural lands and also in the water bodies. And examples are bioethanol, biomethanol, etc. Now some of the examples of biofuels are bioalcohol, biodiesel, biogas. Bioalcohol. The common types of bioalcohols which are produced are bioethanol, biopropanol, biobutanol and biomethanol. And out of these four, the most common type of bioalcohol is bioethanol. And when we see the characteristics of all these four bioalcohols, all the four bioalcohols are of interest as fuels because these have those characteristics which are needed to be used in the internal combustion engines. And when we see the bioethanol is produced by the fermentation process from the starch and sugar crops. And in fermentation, yeasts are mainly used that converts the carbohydrates into alcohol, mainly ethanol. And there are certain characteristics are present in the bioethanol, and these are: it is clear, colorless liquid, biodegradable, low in toxicity, and causes little environmental pollution. It burns to produce carbon dioxide and water, and it has high octane number, and so it has replaced lead for octane enhancer in petrol. So it is used uh, after blending with gasoline because it enhances the octane number of gasoline, and it also acts as an anti-knocking agent in the gasoline. It burns completely and reduces the polluting emissions. And blended fuel are widely sold in United States and Brazil. The most common blend that is used is 10% ethanol with 90% petrol, and this is termed as E10. And vehicle engines require no modifications when these have to be run with E10, and vehicle warranties are unaffected also. Only flexible fuel vehicles can run up to 85% of ethanol, and such type of blends are termed as E85. And when ethanol as such is used, then it is termed as E100. Now the next example of biofuels is biodiesel. Biodiesel is produced through the process of trans-esterification from oils and fats. Trans-esterification is the process of exchange of R groups between the alcohols and ester. The chemical reaction that is involved is here. Now it is a kind of chemical conversion process, and that use chemical agents to ultimately break down the biomass into liquid fuels. This process reduces the viscosity of the fatty acids and make these fatty acids more combustible. And this is used as a biofuel frequently in the European countries. And when it is used as such, it is termed as EB100, but mostly it is used as blended with gasoline. And the useful features in the biodiesel are: it is eco-friendly, clean, alternative fuel to petroleum diesel. It is biodegradable, non-toxic, free from sulfur and lead. It reduces the exhaust carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, smoke or other particulate emissions from the vehicles. This fuel is used in any of the diesel engine without any modification. It is easy to handle. It has more lubricity as compared to the petroleum diesel fuel. So engines last longer when run with biodiesel. Now next biofuel is biogas. This is gaseous biofuel which is produced by the biological breakdown of the organic waste like dead plants, animal material, animal dung and kitchen waste in the absence of oxygen. So that process is termed as anaerobic digestion. And this biogas is actually a mixture of gases. It comprises mainly methane, carbon dioxide and water vapors. Methane content is about 45 to 75%. Carbon dioxide content is 25 to 50% and water vapors are from 1 to 5%. Besides that, it also contains low amount of nitrogen in the form of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, as well as trace amounts of hydrogen and carbon monoxide. It is used for the generation of electricity. It is also used for the heating purpose. It is used in cooking, and it can also be upgraded to generate biomethane by taking out carbon dioxide and water vapors from it. It is compressed much like natural gas and used to power motor vehicles. So these are the uses of